Hello guys, Belle here. Today we're going to be talking about Frost Mages and how they look in Legion. Now, I want to make sure that, in the interest of full disclosure, that you guys are aware that it is alpha, so a lot can change between now and then. I also want to make sure it is known that Belle does not play a Frost Mage. I don't do any kind of mage. I think I played a mage one time, and I know that it was probably Frost, just because, Frost. So, as far as what some of the ramifications are regarding these changes, there's probably not going to be a lot that I know about, but at the end of the day, it's alpha. Lots can change, so this video will probably be obsolete as of next month anyway. So with that being said, let's get right in and let's talk about the gameplay of Frost Mages. So your main core combat abilities you're going to be focusing on is going to be your Frostbolt, Frozen Orb, Ice Lance, Brain Freeze, your Fingers of Frost, and Shatter. It's super important to know that the mastery here is going to be for the icicles. I'm sure you guys have already read this on Blizzard's website. Being mages yourselves, you've probably already taken a look at what that has to offer there. So you still have your Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Fingers of Frost, Frozen Orb, Brain Freeze, and your water elemental. So you still have those same elements. You still have some of the same elements that make you a mage, your ice block, your blink, your polymorph. Those things are still going to be in here, so not much change there. So let's talk about what's currently here spell related. So you have your blink, your Frost Nova, Frostbolt, Blizzard, Comet Storm, which is actually a talent, Frozen Orb, your Ice Barrier, Ice Block, Ice Lance, of course, your Conjure Refreshment. You can't forget about those Conjured Mana Buns or the Fritters. The Fritters were lovely. You have your Cone of Cold, your Counter Spell, your Icy Veins, Invisibility, your Portals, Slow Fall, Spell Steal, Lonely Winter, your Frost Armor, this is going to be your passive along with your Fingers of Frost, Brain Freeze, Time Warp, and your Teleport, which allows you to teleport other abilities. The mastery with the icicles is when you damage enemies with Frostbolt, 39% of the damage done is stored in an icicle for 1 minute. Now, also increases the damage done by your water elemental by 39%. Casting Ice Lance causes any icicle stored to begin launching at the target. Up to 5 icicles can be stored. Excess icicles will automatically be launched. And you also have your Shatter, which is multiple critical strike chance of your spells against frozen targets by 1.5 and adds an additional 50% critical striking chance. Now, once again, it is also important to note that these tooltips do change quite frequently as they do buff and nerf, which for all intents and purposes, I don't really know that it's considered a buff and nerf when it's in mid-development, but we'll just call that what it is and let that be good to go. So in regards to this, also, this is the Ebon Chill is going to be your staff for Frost. Haste, Spell Power, Mastery. Still pretty legit. Deals massive Shadow Frost damage to a single target. Pretty nice as far as looks go. You get to, as you level it up and you do different things, that means something different later on down the line. So it's not too big of a deal. Also, in regards to your view here, if this is the first time watching one of these videos that I've made on the spell and talent preview, then you'll also notice a more concise menu here. They took a lot of stuff out. Some people have used it as a means of complaint because they feel like they're dumbing the game down. I just feel like they made it more summarized, and I appreciate that for my own visuals. So your stuff here is going to be versatility, your haste. God, I hate versatility so much. With a little bit of critical strike sprinkled on top. So let's talk about your talents. I'm actually going to put, there we go. That way we can have the talents in the middle. So let's talk about your first tier. So for your first tier, you have the Ray of Frost. It is a 1-minute cooldown. For the next 10 seconds, you can channel a beam of icy power at an enemy, slowing movement by 50% and dealing 25,000 frost damage every 0.9 seconds. Each time Ray of Frost deals damage, its damage is increased by 20%. You also have the Lonely Winter, which is a passive. It was brought to my attention recently that they did integrate a lot of passive abilities here with your castables, which is really, really strange to me that Blizzard chose to take that route. No judgments or preconceived notions here, just because we're looking at it from a new approach, so I try to have fresh eyes, and I try not to see the changes so much of freaking out and just kind of wait to see where the chips fall as that goes. Now, the Lonely Winter does replace your Summon Water Elemental. You can no longer summon your Water Elemental, but Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Frozen Orb, and Icicles deal 25% increased damage. Those of you that make use of your Water Elementals, you'll be able to know whether or not that's actually a good option, whatever the case may be, but it's there. Bone chilling. Whenever you attempt to chill a target, you gain bone chilling, increasing all frost damage you deal by 0.5% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 16 times. Now, the stack seems relatively nice. I do appreciate that stack, so I'm pretty sure you guys would appreciate that as well. Now, Shimmer does replace Blink. Teleports you 20 yards forward unless something is in the way, unaffected by a global cooldown, and castable while casting. I think that Shimmer's pretty cool, mostly because it's different. I'm going to move away from over here because people are rude. Not their fault. They're just trying to test their targets, I guess. So the Shimmer seems like it's pretty cool. Not really sure. I don't blink because I don't mage, so you guys would know better than I what that means. Cauterize, fatal damage, instead brings you 35% health and then burns you for 28% of your maximum health over 6 seconds. Now, while burning movement slowly affects and suppresses your movement speed, it increased by 150%. This effect cannot occur more than once every 2 minutes. This is a passive skill. I'm pretty sure this is not new to the mage. Correct me if I'm wrong, all you mages out there. I know Cold Snap is not new. Ice Block now has 2 charges and also heals 3% of your maximum health every 1 second. Now here, I know the mirror image is also not new. It is something that super bad annoys me in a lot of instances. So, just because, you know, attacking the wrong target. So with your mirror image creates 3 copies of you nearby, which cast spells and attack your enemies the last 40 seconds. It is a 2-minute cooldown. For the Rune of Power, 45-second recharge, places a Rune of Power on the ground for 10 seconds, which increases your spell damage by 50% while you stand within 8 yards. Incanter's Flow, which is passive. Magical energy flows through you while combat building up to 20% increased damage and then diminishing down to 4% increased damage, cycling every 10 seconds. Your Icy Nova, which is a 25-second cooldown. It is an instant. Causes a whirlwind of icy wind around your target enemy or ally, dealing 52% frost damage to all enemies within 8 yards and freezing them in place for 2 seconds. A primary enemy will target 100% increased damage. Frozen Touch, instant 30-second. It is instant. It is a 30-second cooldown. Immediately generates 2 charges of your Fingers of Frost. Spitting Ice. Your Ice Lance and Icicles now hit a second target nearby for 75% of its damage. Ice Flows. Make your next mage spell castable while moving, unaffected by the global cooldown, and castable while casting. Max 3 charges. Your Ring of Frost does summon the Ring of Frost for 10 seconds. At the target location, enemies entering the ring are incapacitated for 10 seconds. Limit is 10 charges. Is a 45-second cooldown. This is not new. Ice Ward. Frost Nova has 2 charges. Frost Bomb. Places a Frost Bomb at the target for 12 seconds. Limit 1 target. Your Ice Lance that benefit from Shatter will trigger a release of a wave of freezing ice, dealing X amount of frost damage to the target and another X amount of frost damage to all other enemies within 10 yards. Seems like a really legit AoE, which I'm pretty sure is also not new. Unstable Magic is a passive. Frostbolt has a 20% chance to explode on impact, dealing 50% additional damage to the target or all enemies within 8 yards. 20% chance to explode on impact. I like those odds. Don't really know if I like those odds when you compare it to the Frost Bomb or even the passive ability that increases, which is your Arctic Gale here. It increases your Blizzard's damage by 30% and is an area effect by 20%. Not really sure which one you would choose. I'm assuming that would be situational. For your very final set here, you have your Thermal Void. Casting Ice Lance extends your Icy Veins by 2 seconds. Your Glacial Spike conjures a massive spike of ice and merges your current icicles to it. It impales your target, dealing an obscene amount of damage here by this number, plus the damage stored in your icicles. Freezes the target in place for 4 seconds. Damage may interrupt the freeze effect. So that's pretty cool. In PvP, my thought process here is you would need to make sure you time that perfectly and also make sure either your arena buddies or your RBG buddies are aware that that is up so that it does not get, the damage doesn't remove that, because that actually seems pretty cool. The cast time on that's ridiculously long. It's almost the same amount of cast time as a Chaos Bolt. So Still pretty legit. Your Comet Storm, it's instant, is a 30-second cooldown, calls a series of 7 icy comets on and around the target, which deals 21,000 frost damage to all enemies within 4 yards of its impact. Now keep in mind, this is at the stats that I have on my PvP gear, because when you roll a level 110 on the PvP server, it is the, what are we looking at? Yeah, it's the combatant's gear. So that is what you're dealing with there. No big deal, pretty normal. So that's the way that your talents are set up. Now, here's just a quick little, a window of what you're looking at as far as the PvP talents. I will be doing separate PvP videos. Those are going to take me just a little bit longer, just because I don't PvP on other tunes, and I'm going to actually have to go through the motions to be able to unlock some of these talents to talk about what this play looks like. I do leave that up to the professionals. The streamers that main those classes and specs are doing a really good job providing you videos for that. This was just a simple means of doing a walkthrough so that you guys could see what you're looking at in Legion when it comes to Frost Mages. So overall, I think I've heard rumblings on the server that Frost Mages are doing really, really good damage. I don't know anything about being a Frost Mage, so let's not judge me. We can probably look at see how some of the, some of the stuff. I don't know if they've done some new spell animations. Once again, Belle does not know how to Frost Mage, guys. I know you're supposed to pop that to get other crap to proc. My husband yells at me because I'm just a really, really super terrible Frost Mage. But those are going to be what your spell animations look like. I would like to actually try out the Blink versus the Shimmer. Can I pick that? Oh, I'm in combat. Shit. Let me get out of combat. I would like to see what the... these guys are doing serious business over there. I do want to see what that Shimmer looks like. Just for argument's sake. So, there's 2 charges of the Shimmer. Okay, that's pretty... I like it, as opposed to the Blink. Interesting. So let's wait till the Shimmer falls off, and then we could just do a little bit of a comparison with the Blink. So, really... that's pretty cool. I appreciate that. I thought that was pretty nice. So I did like that. I do fancy that. I do. So that's your guys' Frost Mage video, guys. I will be doing the other 2 specs, so be looking for those on the YouTube channel. If you watch this video, you're already sitting in front of your computer, you're sitting on your tablet, you're sitting on your phone, go ahead and give this video a like. Why not? I deserve it, right? I worked really, really hard to prepare this fancy video for you. And look at this. You're even getting what looks to be some priest action here. I recognize the tundrels. So go ahead and leave me a comment also if you have other questions, or if there's anything you're looking for information-wise that you would like me to provide to you. Go ahead and leave a comment. If this is your first time visiting PWNCAST, make sure you give PWNCAST a nice little subscribe so that you can be updated when we post new stuff. And as always, thank you for joining me. Make sure you guys check out the other Mage videos. I'm going to get out of here and go find some tacos. Thanks, guys.